position yourself as someone who solves one particular problem. And if you have that one particular problem, then I'm the person to help you. Now, if I'm solving 10 different problems, it doesn't sound like I'm specialized in that one problem. It doesn't mean that I stop supporting people in all these other problems. I'm talking about all these different problems. I'm just sharing my reflections and my insights. But when it comes to the funnel and the core messaging, it's like, this is my big focus. And if I'm going to work with people one-on-one, then this is the problem I want to focus on. HeartBased.io. This is the podcast. It's for the heart-based solopreneur who wants to thrive in both life and business. On this show, I share my conversations with active or aspiring solopreneurs, and we explore the opportunity to gain clarity, get focused, and become profitable. Relax, settle in, and let's discover something beautiful on the inside of what we are, and then share that beauty with the world. Li Tadaa, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
This is the HeartBased.io Life and Business Podcast, and I'm just hanging out with some beautiful people, and we are exploring how it is we can gain clarity, get focused, and become a bit more profitable. Li, would you just pretend like I know nothing about what you're doing, even though you brilliantly filled out this application that told me a bunch? But for those listening, just kind of introduce yourself and tell me where it is that your heart is and what are you offering to the world?
Thank you for the invitation. The title, I have many titles, but the ones that I use the most professionally would be lust and intimacy coach and holistic therapist. I'm also a dancer, a queer activist, also worked a lot in Mozambique and work a lot with strengthening African values in Western societies, you could say. I support people in being more authentic and being more alive and being all of themselves. And a lot of people come to me because I work with sexuality and tantra and those parts of life. But I see that as just one part of what is important of who we are. And if you exclude sexuality, I see that we exclude 50% of who we are, because the sexual energy is part of our life force, of our heart, our passion. So I started out working more with sexuality, and now it's more an holistic work of being in the full you and being in connection with pleasure of with yourself and with life is part of that.
Yeah, I love that. And you mentioned exploring African traditions, and I assume that includes dance and whatnot, which a lot of people are probably just super unfamiliar with, also curious about. And so it tells me that you've in some capacity created a pretty playful and unique container.
Yeah.
That might be difficult to find elsewhere. And it sounds like you're having a lot of fun with that.
It's my beauty and my challenge of being so niched in my own specific way. Yeah, it makes me very unique. And it's sometimes harder.
When you say that niched in your own way, what do you mean by that in the context of it makes it more difficult?
The idea that I have is that if you have a niche that people recognize, people Google Tantra, people Google specific things like, oh, I want to do this kind of therapy, I want to do that kind, and then I call my things that I do in names that people haven't heard of. So that is one challenge. So I have to create my own branding. And the other part is that I'm so wide and I like to bring everything that I do together. So one person would be interested in African spirituality and traditional dances, and another person would be interested in kink, and another person in trauma healing, and another one in women's empowerment. While for me, all of them is one thing, but me including all of it in one, then it's like, yeah, but I don't want the kink part, or I don't want the dancing part, or I don't want... Quite often people find that it's scary to come to the things that I do because it's challenging too many edges of them at the same time. And in a world market, I'm sure there is enough people, but on the scale that I'm at the moment, I don't reach enough people who could take all of those things.
And I assume that as you work with people and support people, you don't need to utilize all of those tools in the toolbox. You just pick the tools that are appropriate and resonant for the individual.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think that's where the power is not so much displaying all those tools up front because it is kind of overwhelming, but to start with the end in mind. It's like, I don't offer all these services. I offer this result for this particular type of person. And then once you establish the connection there, that leads to a conversation. And then you can find out which tools presented as options to these people that might work. And it sounds like you have this interest in becoming more clear about what you're providing and more targeted to a particular individual. Is that correct?
Yes and no. That's what I've been told in my other coaching program that I should be doing. And I've tried. And one part of me just doesn't want to do that at all. I just want to keep doing a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and a little bit of that. I can see that it's more profitable when you choose just one course. Yeah. So I have an online program that kind of solves 10 different problems or more instead of choosing one of those problems and making one online program for only that. And I've been told, I just haven't been wanting to do it. So I do it my own way.
Playfully
not as profitable.
Yeah, exactly. Playfully speaking, I was going to ask, how's it going? Doing it your own way, which is giving attention to multiple different interests, which again, from the sake of playing and having fun, that could be fun. But as it relates to building a profitable business, you might find that it requires a little bit more focus. There's also the opportunity to present your presence as a person who's into all these different things, but here's what I'm focused on serving now. Like you can still play in all these areas and share, which is great because you're reaching lots of different people, which gives you access to potential clients for the one thing. And I wonder if that's something that you'd be open to exploring, where it's like, rather than having 5 different programs that demand your attention, let's do the 1 or 2 programs.
Or it is one program. It just includes everything. At the moment, I have one online program and an extension of that, which is the individual session coaching therapy program. But then I do events on the side of these things that I enjoy that are more scattered. So all of those don't take the people into the same kind of funnel because I catch different people in each. So then when I sell the program to them, then it's like, well, maybe that wasn't exactly what I was looking for because they came in from one of these different angles.
Yeah. And that sounds reasonable. I mean, you're out there playing in all of these different mediums, and then you just find people that are a good fit for your one program. You're kind of branding yourself as someone who's into a lot of things, but then, connecting with a specific type of person for a specific type of program. That seems totally viable. And so that sounds like something you're doing right now. Like you're not scattered with a bunch of different programs. It's just the one program.
I'm scattered with the events. Like I had a retreat just now, but people in my program were afraid to go to my own retreat because it was too explicit. It was like a kinky, queer dance retreat. So people in my program wouldn't go, or some of them, but not all of them would go to the retreat in itself. So I can see that I'm promoting retreats, but for another kind of niche than those who go into my program. But the thing is, I also invested a lot of time and money for this program, and it's not selling as well as the other thing that I've stopped doing to give space for this program. So now I've been spending more money than I've been earning because I've stopped doing the things that usually would give me money to put everything into this online program. And those who are in it are actually very happy with it. It's just hard to sell.
That's fun. I like things that are hard to sell. What was the thing you were doing before that was working?
It was a physical program in Stockholm instead of online. it's easier to sell a physical. I would either sell the individual sessions only. Actually, it seemed easier to sell the individual session program for more money than to sell the online program cheaper, because it doesn't seem to give you as much as when you get individual support, even though it's cheaper. And then I was being giving like these two options. And then if you can't afford the more expensive one, then you also don't buy the halfway one. I was advised to just sell one, don't give them any option, just sell them one. And then I stopped selling the individual coaching program to sell the online program as like my level one, everybody get into this. And then from there you can level up, but I'm still not managing to sell it.
Okay. Tell me about your sales process. How do you get to that place where you are now selling it to someone or trying to sell it to someone?
I've been following another program, business coach program, where we, through our social media content, reach out to people through chats and invite them to my Facebook group. And then I start chatting with people. And then if they are interested in my support, I offer them a call. And I actually get quite a lot of calls. So something has happened with a call. I get to the calls. And when I did the same thing in the fall, but for the physical program, I sold on like every second call, almost 50% of my calls.
Yeah.
Because it seemed like exactly what they were looking for. But now they come with one problem, and then I give them a program that can solve many problems, not only the thing that they came for.
Are you saying that it seems more beneficial to solve the one problem as opposed to many problems?
That's what they want to pay for. And that's what I've learned in by other coaches, and like that's what you should do, and I'm not doing that at the moment.
Yeah. Are you open to doing that? If that's what's
I'm not sure.
Well, Lee, we kind of have to be kind of practical about it, because I can see your heart where it's like you have this wealth of opportunity to support many different problems and you're enthusiastic about it. But I imagine that the people you're trying to sell are quite overwhelmed with that. It comes down to like an issue of focus. This is so paramount, at least for me, to position yourself as someone who solves one particular problem. And if you have that one particular problem, then I'm the person to help you. Now, if I'm solving 10 different problems, it doesn't sound like I'm specialized in that one problem. And again, this is just from the aspect of selling one product. It doesn't mean that I stop supporting people in all these other problems. My approach to that would be, as far as the online presence, is I'm talking about all these different problems, right? I'm just sharing my reflections and my insights. But when it comes to the funnel and the core messaging, it's like, this is my big focus. And if I'm going to work with people one-on-one, then this is the problem I want to focus on. Now, naturally with that, there's the concern of missing out on potential customers, right? Because we think if we can solve more problems, then there's more money. But I think the sales process is infinitely more easy if you find a person who wants to solve that one big problem. In the spirit of that, tell me, what's the one big problem that your course, your online opportunity provides?
Reaching self-sourced pleasure, being in contact with your full self.
Have you asked your current students what's the biggest value they receive?
Particularly, I can say, each one of them is a bit different. But I would say the biggest one is that people learn to handle their emotions and be more confident in themselves and trusting that they can take care of themselves and come back to a place of pleasure.
And what you just told me right there is the beginning of great core message communication. Because what you just told me, like, tells me as a human being, the problem that I get to solve. Like, if you were to communicate that to me by telling me about all these different modalities and all these different practices, I think you'd lose me. But if you speak to the heart of the matter of, look, this is the dilemma, this is the core value that people receive, and this is the problem we're solving. For me, it's like, okay, I can step into a community that is all about that. And I would imagine that it would take some reorganizing about the community offering that targets that more specifically, is that an option?
In the retargeting and how I speak about what I do?
Just to make that the focus. Like if I went to your website to learn about what the program's about, could that be communicated? Like beyond all the bells and whistles, beyond all the games and the fun that we're having, here's what it's really about. And then as it relates to a sales process, the strategy that I would have is, can I get the prospect to see that this is their big issue, their disconnect from self-pleasure? Can I get them to admit that? And if it's not the case, then it's not the right fit. Beautiful. But often when I talk to people, I can quite easily see what the issue is. It's a journey to get them to admit that. Beyond all the things that we are blaming as the problem, can we see that in some way, fundamentally, I'm denying myself the pleasure that I crave? Just in sitting here thinking about it, the sales process has to become easier. It's more direct.
Yeah, I lose myself now in conversations and they end up talking about too many aspects of their lives. And we kind of get into half coaching and then they're like, wow, this call was amazing. It gave me so much clarity and I feel so much better. And only that is just so much. And I don't think I need the program right now. And I've been told this before, don't coach when we don't get them to what the problem is and don't. But for many people, just to get to that problem, that's a whole coaching session just for them to realize that thing without me actually helping them solving it. That's just a lot for many people.
Yeah.
I feel like, I'm already so helped by this. And
my approach with that is to add as much value as I possibly can and then spend 15 minutes in a potential sales process. My biggest concern on a sales call is not so much getting the sale. My biggest concern is offering as much value as I can in a limited amount of time. And here's why, because I know that the real transformation isn't going to come from one call. The real transformation is a commitment to a journey. It's an ongoing process. And so I do make that clear. And I bring up examples of, insights we've had where it's like, oh, I thought I figured it all out. And then we just find ourselves back in the same loop. And so it's important to engage something that I might call a devotional service. It's like, okay, we can recognize the problem. We can see that this has been a pattern that's been going on for a long time. And clearly it's not going to be resolved with just one phone call. And in most cases, they can obviously see the truth of that. And then what you can also consider from a sales strategy is if you can get them to experience tremendous value like you are, which means
imagine how much they could experience in 6 months if they receive this much value in just one call.
Exactly. As you're offering that value, you're also building a form of authority. It's like, holy shit, you really know what you're talking about. In one way, it's like, yes, this progress that we're having right now is really cute and it's fun. But my question is, do you really want to transform? Or do you just want to have, a temporary good feeling? Do you want to dive into this? Or do you just want to tip your toes in the water kind of thing? And I'm sure you're familiar with this, but you're helping people recognize and acknowledge the pain of their struggle, right? It's important that comes out. It's important that we can be honest about how much of a difficult time they're having. And then you're also bringing them to this place of clarity.
Yeah, clarity and hope.
Where they see a way out. And then let me know if you're doing this part where it's kind of like, okay, you see the gap, right? We've explored the pain. We explored the solution and you're feeling good. My question is, what is your life like 1 year from now if you don't resolve this issue? Like if you continue to ignore this in the ways that you have, where is that going to put you in 1 to 3 years? And if they don't know the answer to that, in most cases, it's like, okay, well, let's go back 3 years ago when you still had this problem. How's that been going?
I can notice in my sales process, because I've been receiving less clients these last 6 months or 5 months than previous year, it shines through that I need clients.
Yeah, that's a big one.
And I can see it, and I even got upset because I noticed that I would go over my own boundary and kind of pleasing them or giving them more time or lower prices, or kind of like, as I'm in there, I'm coming, And it was actually really supportive, because I had this person and she had 3 free calls and she still couldn't get to a point. And I hang up on the phone and I'm like, this person I'm allowing her to waste my time.
Yeah.
If I can say it straight, I know how good I am what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
And I know how few it is at this level. And I feel like I should not be convincing insecure young people who can't afford what I give. I should probably charge 3 times more and working with people who are really have money and are really, really ready to do the work, because I know I can do the work for them.
That's the solution.
I'm tired of people who don't dare to do the work.
Yeah. And if you keep giving discounts and wasting your time, you're going to find people.
Yeah.
What are you charging now for your program?
The only online program, the group program, is 1,300 euros for 6 months. And the individual coaching program, which includes the online group program, is 3,500 euros.
I would say close to double that. I would say for your group program, 2,400. Group plus you, minimum of $5,000.
Yeah.
Maybe 4. Yeah, I'm such a huge fan of less clients and higher service. And here's the thing too. If you narrow down that messaging so it solves one problem, you're probably...
So without changing the program, but changing my messaging.
That's the start, yeah. And then maybe in the program, there's minor alterations that speak more to the original messaging. Like you keep coming back to, this is the real point. This is the real opportunity. As you clarify that and it becomes more direct, you're going to find people who are more committed to that one problem. But it sounds like, in an adorable human way, you're scared of not having enough. In that fear of not having enough, you go super broad in order to make sure you have enough. It's like, oh, I could do this and I could do this and I could do this.
It's a combination. It is definitely that. And it's also, I get bored of the same thing. So I keep on doing the journey deeper and deeper and deeper. So if I started off with like dance and pleasure, you can only give people this much with only those tools. So then I've been adding, like, you need boundaries, you need to resolve attachment needs, you need to resolve. So I've been like adding in the last 5 years, when I started off something that was kind of superficial, as I did my own journey and also work with client deeper, then I add all of these aspects, because that's where you really solve the issue, as opposed to just, giving the temporary, what you said, feel good.
All of those modalities, they point to the same end result. And again, so the product is the end result. These modalities are optional ways of play. It's kind of like the product being a profitable business. There's, the modality of your messaging, the modality of your marketing, the modality of sales. It includes all of those things. What's your base income level for stress-free survival?
That I would like to have, or that is a good income for me?
Well, just an income that allows you to focus.
I also paying staff, which also makes things harder. So maybe like comfortably, if I had 10,000 euros a month, or at least 7,000.
What's your staff expense?
Been varying, because now we invested in this, creating the online program. So then I paid them more. I don't like numbers, so I can't answer your questions. I'm just guessing because I don't have so much structure of my numbers. But around maybe monthly, maybe around 1,500 euros. But it's been double or more the last few months because of the making of the online program. So then I've been paying different people for web platform and video editing and those kind of stuff.
And where are you finding these people?
In my network.
So theoretically, at your current rate, you need to sell a lot of spots in your program to cover all that.
Yeah, and I haven't been doing. So I've been in negative this last 5 months. For the first time since I started. it has never happened, but I also never dared to invest. This is like the first time I've dared to take my savings to do this. And then so far, I took away my focus on the things that I used to get my income on into this. So it's just kind of in this downhill economically because of that. And while I am working on this aspect that you and me are talking about now, there's another part of me that wants to do a program for facilitators, and that I've been wanting to do that for a few years, and I haven't maybe dared or find the appropriate format, and then feeling afraid of going towards a new niche. But the more time passes, the more I see how needed it is at the moment, because so many people are becoming facilitator in the conscious world, and it's even damaged sometimes because people do a lot of emotional processes and things without having the knowledge. And being one of those top people in this part of the world in the field, I know it's needed. But then that means changing the niche again. And then that holds me back because I should first succeed in this, what I'm doing, before I do the next. But I see my pool being less interested in the stuff that I have been doing and feeling the need to level up into something bigger. Again, not working with those people who are doing their first program and are afraid to spend money, but working with people who are facilitators themselves. And they also need these same deep aspects, but they're not aware of that. But the goal is different. Many of the processes might be the same, but the goal is different.
Where's your passion lie, though? Like, what just excites you most?
To be in a room with a host holding a lot of people. I'm good at one-on-one coaching, but there's a lot of good in one-on-one coaches. But there's not as many good facilitators who can host a space of 500 or 1,000 people and hold that space. So it excites me knowing that I'm maybe more exceptional in relationship to others in that space, because there's a lot of therapists around and coaches around, even though I'm also good at that.
And how much energy are you putting towards that vision?
Well, very little at the moment, because I decided to first have this product ready, which is the online program, so that I have, if I go to bigger places and events, I have somewhere to put the people in.
Yeah, that makes sense. The only thing that rings for me as you describe that, it sounds like you have a lot of complexity in your program. And I would encourage to put something or put people into something that's very simple, streamlined, gives access to you in a limited capacity, and then also access to others. But again, singularly focused on solving one problem or a subset of 3 problems, so to speak. Like for me, gain clarity, get focused, and become profitable, right? Like for me, that's one problem. Because, I mean, God, I so know that space of building platforms and how quickly things become complex. And it is such a time drain.
Yeah, and the more I go into it, it's like, oh, but I need a little bit of this and a little bit of that. And then it's like, oh, one more video here and one more video there. And suddenly it's like this big.
Yeah. You're describing a very similar struggle that I experienced. Because it can just keep going on and on and on. Do you have any free online course opportunities that funnels into your bigger thing?
Yeah, I did a free 6-day online challenge, and I did it in the fall when I was selling into the physical program and individual coaching, and I sold really well after those 6 days. And then I did it again this year, and I didn't sell a single program afterwards. And I got so much feedback, how great and how many insights. Like I oversold. So only that was like a whole week course that made them feel like, again, reaching to that good feeling level and then believing that maybe I don't need more at the moment. And again, because I started to sell a different product than last year that I didn't manage to sell this time.
So the successful one that you did was a different product?
Yeah, that was the physical program. And then it was a few online as well, but then I wasn't so dependent on them because I had the big income from the physical, and then I had maybe 4 online clients. That was enough as a bonus to just have 4 because I had the other.
And you really want to get away from the physical, which I can understand.
Yes and no. It was a big investment to do so because I want to be able to be less dependent on Stockholm. But I feel more inspired when I'm with more people. As I said, like the big thing that I would like to do would be to have really big groups a few times a year. So I see myself doing, bigger retreats a few times a year. And then the online program can be something that is like keeping the people in between the bigger things. Feels like I'm difficult to help because I have too many structures already in place.
Yeah, that's part of the
I become more rigid in my,
yeah. And it just reminds me so much of my journey with trying to do so much, especially with being excited about lots of different things and enjoying lots of different things, wanting a sense of geographical freedom to where it's like I don't want to be bound to one area. Before COVID, I made all my money doing retreats and events. COVID happened. It was like, shit, I had to figure out the online game, which I now prefer.
Yeah, I do want to have the online every week instead of physical every week.
Yeah.
So I feel happy with not having that, but I didn't manage the transition as well.
What's your level of trust in the thing that you're building now?
In the online program?
Yeah.
Not big enough. It's very interesting. Like when you reached out, it was also when I was in the middle of this realization, how much money I had spent this year and how little money had came in, and more into like a crisis, like this is not working. And I don't think I felt as confident as I do in my life on how good I am, what I'm doing. At the same time, I've never earned as little. So I don't have a lot of trust in my capacity to build the business, because this is kind of enforcing my idea. I notice I get sad now.
Probably touching something important then.
I trust my capacity to help people and do what I'm best at 100%, but I don't trust my capacity to run a business, to earn proper money. The idea in my mind that it's just tiring and exhausting to run a business. So there's a part of me that doesn't want to do it.
I get that. And I think there's some wisdom in that too.
It's like it's taking off the time that I should be spending on what I'm truly best at, to sitting and doing all of this kind of administrative work and worrying about money and social media and all these tiny things that just in by itself I know leads to the bigger picture, but I'm just tired. And then all the festivals in the field at the moment are very wisely constructed in a way that no teachers get paid, which is another like bigger issue with them, at least in this part of the world, the tantra conscious sexuality, yoga, dance festivals. You need to be kind of run your own retreat to get the money, but when you're invited to festivals, you don't get paid. So you need is like a very big pressure on you to have a good product that you sell. And I'm tired of that pressure.
This brings me back to having one good product.
And that's what I spent these months, like putting so much money and time into this product that is obviously, or at least yet, not good enough. No, that's not true. It's good. It's like, it's really good. It's just complex. It's too big.
Let me put this out there, and then I just want you to play with this idea. If your offering had to be ready to go in 7 days, what would it look like? Because I imagine you've got months of work in your mind.
No. We are actually recording the last videos this week, and the plan is very little left. And I'm already selling the product, and the videos that I'm adding are like coming as a bonus. So the product is already there. It's just, I'm already selling it, even though it's not ready. But within the next month, the plan is for it to be ready.
And so the issue comes back to selling it then.
Yeah. But I can, as you say, like look over, especially how I present it, and focusing more on why each part in this program is calling to that same goal. But because I do get clients in who are like perfect on sales goals, who are perfect fit, And it's very similar issues. It's like getting back to myself and my pleasure, losing myself because I'm taking care of others, being hijacked by emotions. Those would be like 3 things.
If those are the people that you're selling easily, then the plan is to find more of those people and spending less time with people.
Oh, it's still not easy to sell to them because I'm obviously at the moment not managing to sell to them either.
Well, what was so easy about the people you did sell to?
That it was a physical program.
No, the people that are in your program now. What made it so easy for them?
What made them? Okay. Because it spoke to exactly what they needed and they were ready to go for it.
Where'd you find them?
Social media, joining my Facebook group. But many of them have been to some of the events that I have been teaching at. So they know me from somewhere or see me at the festivals. And they've been following me for a while.
What's your one-on-one client capacity per month? Like how many new one-on-one clients can you take on?
In the fall, I was like reaching to a full. And that was also when I decided to spend more on the online program because I realized I couldn't take in so many. But now I could definitely take in more. We'll say if they stay for 4 months and I would want to have maybe, I could have like 6 calls a week. So like 12 clients. It's like it would be like a good amount at all times.
And each client goes for 4 months?
Yeah.
Is that a weekly meeting?
Every second week.
That's a big load.
Many clients, you mean?
Yeah, you're brave. 12 clients a month is a lot.
You just asked. And again, I haven't counted. Yeah. I never had that many. I haven't had that many. And my intention wasn't, I think I've had 8 or 9 at the most at the same time. And that's when I felt like, okay, I would rather have 6 and then I have lots of people in my online program.
Yeah, like from my strategy, what I would do is I would focus on one-on-one clients paying my bills. I would reinvest the group money into getting more group members, using that money to improve the user experience somehow. And that's only because I have a much easier time selling high ticket one-on-one stuff. Even though, similarly to you, long term, I do see myself either moving out of one-on-one or just going crazy high with the price of one-on-one.
Exactly.
And then, the way I like to structure it for myself is, can I get 2 new one-on-one clients a month and completely cover all of my expenses? Yeah, because I don't like constant one-on-one sessions. It's like maybe once a day, then that feels good for me.
Yeah, when I said 12, then every second week, so it would be like 6 a week. That would be like a maximum. But 4 would be good. So like 8.
Well, 8 new clients.
No, not new.
Oh, you were saying 12.
12 running.
Oh, 12 running total. Okay, I thought you said 12 new ones every month.
No. 12 running in total.
Oh, yeah, that's beautiful. That's a great number.
So it's not that many.
No.
That would mean that I would have 6 sessions a week.
Yeah, that would be 3 new clients per month if you're on a 4-month cycle.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's a beautiful number.
Yeah.
And that's easy for you to sell?
I got caught in this now, like where I'm selling 2 products at the same time, either the program or the individual coaching. If they don't want to spend the money on the expensive one, like they get into this trend of choosing and then they don't choose any of them, then I stopped selling the one-on-one to get them into the program and then they can upgrade. But that hasn't worked either. So that means I stopped selling the individual one, which is the one that gives me the most money.
Yeah. And that's still a joy for you to do those, though, yeah?
The one-on-one?
Yeah.
Yeah, when I don't have too many, which is what I have now. Yeah.
And what was your price for that?
3,500 euros.
Seems like you could crush 3 of those a month. Yeah, I don't know if it resonates, but potentially crush the one-on-ones and then lower the price of the group. In the group participants, that's a 4-month cycle. Like they're in
6.
for 4 months and then they're out. So they're in for 6 months and they're out.
And the people on the one-on-one coaching, they get 6 months in the program. So they have like 2 months for integration, or if we get postponed sessions, then they have like, sometimes they end up staying for 6 months.
Man, it really sounds like to some degree you've got your shit together, and that you're trying to figure out the proper foundation to build on. And really the only window of opportunity that I see, and I don't even know if it's helpful, is to clarify the messaging to be all about the problem you're solving. And then also to go back to crushing the one-on-one stuff. Remove yourself from the anxiety of trying to make money with your group program, especially if you have the capacity to support yourself doing one-on-one stuff. And then maybe that invites some relaxation and less urgency with the group platform, and let that be like more of a long-term vision than a rushed vision.
So I don't have expectation that would be my main income now, but I continue doing the other things that used to give me money, which is what I did now also, like bringing back some in-person things in the fall and retreats, and then have the online program as like a bonus product, so that if you go to the retreat, you also get the online program as a bonus, and then I can sell my retreats for a higher price because you get the online program as well. It's like a community where you keep on doing the work in between.
Yeah, I like that idea.
And then see if I can get in some facilitator training idea. I don't know if I should do a group training, or if I start to take in like a few, like do a selection where people can apply to work with me, and then they get to assist me on the different retreats.
Yeah, and my approach to that would be, rather than it be an open public thing, it's like when I come across someone that I see that potential, then that would be a one-on-one opportunity, to train them. And then as I'm training them to become a facilitator, I'm also creating content for a group training program. It's kind of like with what I'm doing with HeartBased.io. Long term, it's all about thriving in life and business. I'm starting with the solopreneur, and very specifically those who are holding space for people, because long term, I want to train HeartBased.io space holders that hold space for other people. And so as I'm engaging with the community and then also working with people one-on-one, I'm also looking for very specific people that I could train as space holders, but not as like an open forum. It's more of like a 2-3 year vision. And then as I do that, as I work with them, it teaches me about what I need to teach people. Well, Lee, I don't know how helpful that was, my dear, but I hope that we had a good time. Do you have any questions or anything?
Well, I can sum up what was helpful.
Yeah, let's do that.
I see that I have a huge resistance in the narrowing down to the one message. By suddenly in my social media, like saying all these different other problems, I get feedback from that because I show that I can solve so many different problems. And it's easier said than done for me to just kind of narrow it down even.
Well, here's what you do.
Even more.
All of these other problems, they actually point to a deeper problem. And so your real product is the deeper problem, but you're exposed to these other problems.
Yeah, the real project is helping them to understand that because what I see, I guess, in many coaching programs or what people sell is that they guide people into solving those things on the surface, which I'm not as interested in working with. I want to solve the core issues that helps them to solve all their problems, which means that there are so many different problems that I can give some example, which is referring back to what it is that I'm actually working with, which is what's lying underneath.
Exactly. And that's your product, right? You're talking about all these other problems, and that's great and helpful because it offers a bit of clarity. But really, you're exposing this to point to the deeper problem. And that's your product.
Because people are tired of all of these kind of quick fix thingies. They want the deep thing.
And those are the people who are going to buy. And the people who want to fuck around with the tiny problems, they're not going to buy. And also, your role as the salesperson is to get them to see the deeper problem. It's like, yes, I understand you want to solve XYZ, but do you see how this is directly tied to the deeper problem? And that's often a really holy shit moment. And then solving the deeper problem is not something that happens with one conversation. And so, yes, play with all those problems, play with all the different modalities. But I think it's also something that you recognize deeply in yourself. Like, what is this really about, though? What do we keep coming back to?
In my relationship to my clients, or in what I'm doing in the bigger picture?
Yeah, in relationship to the real problem you're trying to solve, which is also in relationship to the type of person you want to work with. Because even though you're sharing content that's speaking to a lot of different people, and a lot of those people are not the type of person you want to work with, that's fine. Because then those people will know people, and on and on. I love adding broad value, like talking about all different types of subjects. But also what I try and do is like fundamentally bring it back to a deeper issue. And then when I talk to people, when they've been experiencing that for some time, months or years, they understand my authority on that one issue.
And when you're in a sales call and you're selling the result, and they say, yeah, but how do you do it? What kind of techniques do you use?
For me, I don't use any techniques. My approach, I guess it could be a technique, is radical self-honesty.
Now, I guess, how do you not get stuck in answering their questions?
Yeah.
Because I want to sell the results, but then I get caught in them wanting to know what's in the program or what are the techniques that I'm using. And then they're like, oh, you use that technique. Oh, my friend is doing that one. Then maybe I can go to them. I want to focus on, this is the results.
It's deeply connecting with the heart of the matter between me and that other human being, where I'm communicating in some way that this isn't about techniques. This isn't about modalities.
It's not.
This is about you making a decision. And I'm holding space right now for you to make that decision. And if it's not time for you to make that decision, that's fine. It'll hurt more, and then maybe it'll be time later. But right now, you clearly see that you have that opportunity to make that decision. And that's also what's happening. We're not selling a product, we're selling a decision. People buy because they're making a decision, not because they like the product. And that's what's so powerful about helping them get in touch with the pain, because they can see how much it hurts to not make the decision. I feel like my deep skill set when it comes to sales, a compassionate directness, where I feel genuinely connected to the heart of their struggle. And in a playful way, I challenge them on their bullshit. What I feel helps tremendously is not needing the sale. And I know that comes across so clearly when I talk to people, is that I'm not in a position to where I need you to buy this. I'm looking for people who really want to...
Are ready to do the work.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I tell them straight up, if that's not you, that's perfectly fine. But at the same time, I don't want you to talk yourself out of the opportunity you've been waiting for. And so I'm going to challenge you on your no. Is that really a no, or are you just scared?
They don't say no, they want to think about it. They are like almost a yes, and then they want to think about it, and then they come to the no in a couple of days.
That's so common. So many instances where they say no, but then it gets turned around into a yes. And then so many instances where they say yes, then they say no, and then we turn it back around to a yes. I'm all for people getting off the call and deciding on their own. You know, I can totally honor the space where it's like, I need to think about it, but I also prepare them for what's about to happen, which is, I've seen this numerous times. Right now, there's something in you that's excited about this opportunity. Right now, you see the potential and the benefit of it. And then when you get off the phone, just like you've experienced your whole life, your mind's going to try and talk you out of it. The mind's going to try and protect you and help you stay in your comfort zone. And it's going to come up with lots of fantastic excuses about why this isn't the right time, even though right now, as we're talking, you see how it's perfect timing. Not only is it perfect timing, but it's necessary. And so I totally support you in your decision to think about it, but just be aware that that's going to happen. And then if you could do me the favor, after you think about it, we jump back on Zoom and see what's going on. And then even if somebody tells me, yes, I'm going to bank wire you money, I don't assume they're going to bank wire me money because there's always that mental game that they're going to go through before they press that.
Yeah.
And so I'm fully prepared for another conversation. I'm actually always rather surprised when they always just wire me money. It's like there's a process, especially when you're asking for a lot of money.
But it's helpful, and it's pointing me in the direction with which happened with this client who had their third call, and she wrote me. It's like I'm ready for sessions now. I'm like, cool, let's connect and let's start. And then in the call, like, I think I'll have to wait. It's too much money now, or I'll think about it until Monday. And I'm like, you're probably going to say no, just so you know, and that's fine.
Yeah, and in that situation, what I would do is, what's her name?
I would prefer not to say.
Yeah,
so
well, let's say your name's Sarah.
Let's call them
Yeah.
Sarah.
I would say, okay, Sarah, can I playfully challenge you on something? You know that this is what you want to do, right? And something in you knows that you can afford it. So here's the thing. So that both you and I are not wasting each other's time, I'm willing to do this for you right now. I want to do this for you right now. But you keep delaying isn't serving you. I'm inviting you to make a decision. We either do this or we don't. And also what I do is I put expiration dates on my invitations to do coaching. And I tell people I only take on 2 or 3 new clients a month. And so because you're telling me this is something you want to do or you think you might want to, then I'm going to leave this window open for you for 7 days. And so it expires after 7 days. And I actually, in my payment system, on the purchase link that I send them, it actually expires in 7 days. So it doesn't work.
That's not the case for my payment link, though. It's the same with the fixed price.
Yeah.
But that's okay, though. I can still say it's full.
Yeah, but I think that language too, I only take on 2 to 3 new clients a month. Well, for whatever reason, so I can maximize the value that I give. You are someone that I want to work with. And if that works for you, fantastic. If not, no worries. But the invitation expires in 7 days because if you're not going to do it, then somebody else will. Okay, I'm super hungry. I got to go eat.
Awesome.
Thank you, though. This was actually quite fun to feel a little scattered and not know which direction to go. Yeah, I'm excited to see how it unfolds for you. And when you have that moment of clarity of, I got it now, this makes sense, let me know. I'm curious as to what that.
Yeah, for sure. The positive thing right now, like first I had to go into like the emotional crisis of feeling so scattered.
Yep.
And now kind of coming out from the other side. So this is kind of like a good timing for this call because I have the emotional capacity to just kind of like rinse out what I should do and what I should stop doing.
Yeah.
And just change because I know that I have everything that I need. I just need to put it in alignment and trust. And I'm not 100% sure what direction that will take. I know I'm just going to finish the online program this month, so at least I have a product. If in the end, I might put it on YouTube for free, you know, I still made a beautiful product.
Yep.
And it will pay back to me somehow, whether not the way that I thought. People want to work with me, and I've lots of people around me. I'm just figuring some things out.
I don't know where it's going to go, but I'm going to make beautiful shit on my way there.
Exactly. That's the thing. Yeah.
All right. Well, stay in touch. It was lovely to meet you.
You too, Tiger. Thank you so much.
You've been listening to the HeartBased.io Solopreneur Podcast. For show highlights, notes, and more, visit us online at HeartBased.io. While you're there, be sure to sign up for my weekly email, The Sunday Letter to Solopreneurs, and download my free guide for new or struggling heart-based solopreneurs, helping you understand why and how it's possible to love on others and get paid well for it in the process.